Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Yesterday, I was reacting to a show that Marcellus Wiley did, where he was reacting to Stephen A. Smith, a recent audio that he did. I think we even did a show about it, where he was essentially calling Stephen A. Smith a liar. I'm almost yawned just now. Where he was essentially calling Stephen A. Smith a liar for some recent comments that he had to make about Max Kellerman. And then during his show, he was going through the breakdown of ratings year over year of ESPN First Take. And you can see where the numbers are like 300 plus, 350 plus, 400,000 viewers. And of course, when Shannon Sharpe came on there, you would see days of 600,000 viewers, just crazy stuff, right? So that went on there. So this morning, I was just looking for what to talk about. And I came across a very interesting article. And it says, Rich Eisen's SportsCenter return draws strong viewership for ESPN. Now, Rich Eisen, we've done many shows on him where he's spoken to guests like Charles Barkley and all of that. And I remember the news about him making his return to ESPN, to SportsCenter. But I didn't really follow it. I don't really watch SportsCenter, so I didn't know what his reception was like, and I didn't know the aftermath of it. Well, apparently, his first episode back on SportsCenter averaged 708,000 viewers following Monday Night Football. And I said to myself, Rich Eisen just brought in 700,000 viewers? I mean, this is Stephen A. Smith type of numbers. And I'm like, no, we got to talk about this. So let's get into what this article said here. It says, unsurprisingly, Rich Eisen's return to SportsCenter desk drew a strong audience from ESPN on Monday. According to a report by Austin Karp of the Sports Business Journal, Eisen's episode of SportsCenter averaged 708,000 viewers following a preseason edition of Monday Night Football between the Washington Commanders and Cincinnati Bengals. The audience was 67% larger than SportsCenter's normal average in the 11 p.m. Eastern Time window, was the most watched edition of the show in that window since mid-June, and even beat out Eisen's last SportsCenter appearance in 2003. Here are the numbers. It says, apparently the Rich Eisen guy has a future if he wants to host SportsCenter. Eisen's return Monday night, first time in 20 plus years, got 708,000 viewers. And then you see the additional data points there. It says, of course, there's some obvious caveats to go over here. Most 11 p.m. Eastern Time episodes of SportsCenter don't have the benefit of airing directly after an NFL game. Even preseason NFL games tend to far outrate regular season games from any other North American professional sports league. As such, it's not surprising that Eisen's SportsCenter was the most watched in the time slot since the period coinciding with the NBA Finals. Nevertheless, Eisen's return was incredibly well received, so much so that ESPN has already announced he'll return for select SportsCenter telecasts in the future. The Rich Eisen Show will begin to stream live on ESPN's new direct-to-consumer app starting September 2nd. So that's what the article had to say there. Now, my takeaway is this. There is no doubt about it that Stephen A. Smith has the loudest mouth in all of sports. There's no doubt about it. And he's always telling you how great ESPN First Take does. But as it turns out, there are other people that are less shouty as he is that can go out there and garner large audiences. Another show that does really well is with Mike Wilbon, PTI. That show does fantastically well. And as a matter of fact, Stephen A. Smith's show, I don't even think is the biggest show on ESPN. I think they're the biggest show in that time slot. But they have a lot of other shows that perform exceptionally well. Now, here's something interesting worth pointing out. Stephen A. Smith's ESPN First Take was witnessing record numbers when Shannon Sharpe jumped on board. I don't know if you guys remember, but we were doing shows about that when we were comparing First Take's views with Shannon Sharpe versus what FS1's views were with, I think, Keyshawn Johnson, was it Keyshawn Johnson, Paul Pierce, and Skip Bayless. Those views were just abysmal. I mean, they were hovering around the 100s, and then some days they dropped below 100,000 viewers. Whereas on ESPN, First Take, when Shannon Sharp was there were days where they were getting 700,000, 800. I mean, it was just absolutely, it was absolutely nuts. And Shannon Sharp brought a lot of that audience. Obviously, there was a lot of excitement around that time. But what stands out to me is that for as much shouting as Stephen A. Smith does, you would think that he outperforms all of his counterparts by a very, very, very wide margin. When in fact that he just dominates a certain time slot, and it's not like as if he's the biggest show out there. And as a matter of fact, there are a lot of big shows out there. Now, why ESPN decided to give him a $100 million contract, obviously, I'm sure, has to do with the success of ESPN First Take. I also think it has to do with the fact that a lot of what goes on First Take ends up being discussed beyond the corridors and the walls of ESPN. Like, they will have moments on that show that will go viral, that people will be talking about on Twitter, people will be talking about on YouTube. And I think that when they look at his overall impact, and obviously the fact that he does other shows, like I think NBA on ESPN, Countdown, and all of that, I think that's the reason why he was able to garner such a contract. Another thing worth mentioning is the fact that he has tenure. Stephen A. Smith has been with ESPN now since his return for, let me say, it got to be around 10 years or so. Obviously, because of his track record, the guy's been doing pretty well for a very long time. And I think at one point they had 17 consecutive months of growth, or 17 or 19 or whatever it is, consecutive months of growth. So all of that can't be denied. And when you look at what he brings, now, I'm not saying that Stephen A. Smith is not the face of ESPN. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm saying is I am surprised that given how much we talk about Stephen A. Smith, given how much he makes the news, and the fact that he's on political shows and all of that. Just yesterday, I was waiting for an episode of Frasier to air, because that's my favorite show. And then I saw Stephen A. Smith on the Bill Maher show, and I'm like, how the hell did Stephen A. Smith end up here? So he's everywhere. So you would think that this guy he's on a totally different plateau when his counterparts can't do that. But for Rich Eisen, who hasn't been on there for 20 plus years, according to this report here, for him to go in there and help anchor in and garner such an audience, that's pretty remarkable. So someone actually sent me a message on Instagram today. I forgot his name. I apologize for that. Of a video where Kyrie Irving was analyzing some Michael Jordan footage. And he's like, you should talk about this. So I later on, the video got recommended to me, funny enough. And then I saw a video of him actually analyzing a Kobe Bryant game where he scored 65. And I'm like, okay, I'll watch that later. So anyway, I clicked on this video. And I think Kyrie's on some streaming app. I don't know. I'm not a streamer, so I don't really know like that. Where he's watching the game and he's kind of talking to the chat and reacting to it. So it's always interesting to me to see these guys that play at this play at the professional level, to watch them react to players, because it's always interesting what they're noticing versus what you as a fan, as a casual fan that watches, what you would notice, right? So I always found that to be fascinating. So the footage starts to play, and it's Michael Jordan, in the flu game, in the 1997 flu game in the NBA Finals against the Utah Jazz. And in that game, it was reported that Michael Jordan had the flu, but then later on in the Last Dance docuseries, apparently he had food poisoning. I don't know what it was. Regardless of that, MJ wasn't feeling well. Okay, it was clear to see that Michael Jordan wasn't feeling well at all during that game. So the video starts off, or the game footage or whatever, it starts off, and Kyrie Irving is essentially analyzing what Michael Jordan did in that game. So as the video starts off, he begins to talk about Michael Jordan's disposition as a player. And he says something interesting. He says, I want you guys to look at the face of somebody that their only focus was winning. That was their primary focus. And I'm like, okay, this is getting powerful here. So what we want to do is want to play some of the things that Kyrie Irving had to say about Michael Jordan in that game. Also what he said at the tail end. Obviously you're going to hear some sound from the game itself, but I want you guys to listen specifically to what Kyrie is saying. If you guys have any difficulty hearing it, just pay attention to the The subtitles at the bottom. So I want you guys to listen to that, and I'm going to come back and react to Kyrie Irving. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
I know we be having conversations about who's one of the people watch Mike, they come away with this allure. I'm telling you, bro, this black cat right here, this amazing gentleman that had so much to do with revolutionize our game. I want you guys to watch and just study how this man did not give a about anything other than winning. I want you guys to see his face this whole entire time. All right? I want you guys to see his. I'm just saying, Mike is different. So when we're watching, I'll watch with that keen eye. I will never disrespect Mike's greatness. I will never disrespect what he's built. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, y'all at home. When I come away watching Mike, I come away with like, dang. Dang. I know they must have hated playing against Jordan, bro. That's why a lot of people Jordan like him now. Busting people ass in the 90s. The boy got six out of 10 years. He got championship, bro.
Led 36-20, 3 minutes into the second. And the Chicago Bulls have taken.
No, by the way, I want to make sure that we all give Michael Jordan his flowers. I know he's gotten a lot of flowers over his lifetime, but I want to say that personally, man. Shout out to MJ, bro. You inspired a lot of us. You have definitely set a different standard for a lot of hoopers. I mean, I still look to you for inspiration, not only just your videos, but your interviews. I'm not doing no glazing. I'm saying I'm a grown man. I'm gonna give respect when respect is due. Every time I've seen him, I've definitely tried to shake his hand and let him know how much I appreciate him. You know, because he definitely handled all the pressure of being one of the best players of all time, and he's done it well, and he's transitioned into something greater. So I'm happy for him and happy for his family. You know, shout out to his family. A lot of love his way, man. You know, he did some amazing things out there, bro.
So you heard what Kyrie had to say about Michael Jordan. A quick aside. While I was watching that game itself, I had watched a highlight reel on TikTok of Kobe Bryant, where he caught the ball on the I mean, it's just masterful footwork. I mean, it's just masterful. It looked like Jordan was trying to elude his defender. He was cutting to the basket, and then he caught the ball, but kind of did like a reverse pivot. So he caught the ball and faked like he wanted to drive right? He sold the fake, and then he went left, and I think he had one dribble. And he went to the left, pulled up for the mid. I mean, it was just absolute beauty to watch that move. And as I was watching Michael Jordan play, especially at that stage, you were witnessing someone that had mastered his craft. What you were witnessing was somebody who had mastered basketball at all levels. 96, 97. He had mastered the game. And at that point, everything that he did was intentional. Jordan, I mean, I'm watching him and I'm like, this guy is so good. I mean, I said it before, but I'm going to reiterate it once more. Jordan is the only player that I have spent, whenever I spend time investigating his career and researching his career, he's the only NBA player that the more you investigate his career, the freakier your findings become. He's the only one. Give you guys an example. Just this summer, SGA won the Finals MVP, the scoring title, the league MVP, and the championship. And I think he made the all-first team. And everybody was ranting and raving for that. He did it, Shaq did it, and then MJ did it 4 times. You're like, what? You're like, what? What? It's like we're all in awe of what SGA did, and then you find out this guy did it 4 times. It's like, what are we even talking about right now? What in the world are we talking about? Right? Jordan, the guy, I mean, watching him play, and I know I'm going off on a tangent here, it's like watching a miracle unfold. I was watching a Kobe Bryant highlight the other day, and I'm saying to myself, how is this guy this good? You look at him play, and I'm like, what person that watched basketball, that saw this guy play, would come to the conclusion that he's not one of the 3 greatest players you've ever seen play basketball? I mean, how do we know anybody's good if you don't watch him play? How do we know? But people are now trying to, well, what you see doesn't really matter. It's what the results are. Really? So whatever the results are, so then why even watch a game? Why not even watch a game? If LeBron scores 20 in a game and Paul George scores 20 in a game, are they the same? Well, no, right? But how would you know that? By watching the game, right? No. If you don't watch the game, how do you know? You're just reading raw stats. Stats also tell a lie. But anyway, back to what Kyrie was saying. He also said, whenever I watch highlights, I get better. And I suspected as much. Kyrie Irving, I've suspected this. If you look at his game from when he came into the NBA as time has gone on, you can tell Kyrie has watched a tremendous amount of footage on Kobe Bryant. A tremendous amount of footage, highlights of Kobe. When I say a lot of footage. Because you see a lot of things in Kyrie's game that came from Kobe's game. The same way you see a lot of things from Kobe's game that came from Michael Jordan, Jerry West, and other great players, Hakeem Olajuwon, and other great players. So Kyrie is a real student of the game. And I say that because not only is he able to observe somebody, he's able to incorporate what he's seen, which are two different things. There are people that can observe something, but they can't incorporate. Give you a perfect example. People that went to go train with Hakeem Olajuwon. Well, a bunch of players went. Carmelo Anthony went. LeBron James went. Amari Stoudemire went. A few other guys went. But only one guy was able to incorporate it, right? Only one. So to me, man, I love the fact that Kyrie recognized the greatness of Jordan, and he said as much at the end of the video. But he was just in awe. That wasn't the first time he saw the game, but it was really, really cool to see one of the greatest players ever analyzing the game of the greatest player of all time and getting to and kind of going behind the scenes, going behind the curtains, and understanding what they're seeing and how they're processing it. I thought that was absolutely cool. I thought it was absolutely cool. So we got the news, y'all, that Russell Westbrook may have to call it quits this year. May end up having to retire this year because the word is, the last time I checked, that no team is interested in his services. Got an article here that I want to read the headline. It's from theheavy.com, and it says, Russell Westbrook gets devastating reality check from insider. That's what it says, right? That no team. It says former NBA MVP Russell Westbrook could be out of the league starting with the 2025-26 season, according to NBA insider Jake Fisher. It says, speaking on the Inside Notebook on Bleachers Report YouTube channels, Fisher reported on August 20 that the only Sacramento Kings have expressed interest in signing the athletic guard who turned 37 in November. We're still waiting to see what other moves could come in Sacramento before the Kings tried to bring in Russell Westbrook, Fisher said via SportsIllustrated.com. And that's been one home all along that we really have looked at for Russell Westbrook. And that is still the home I have heard earlier this week for Russell Westbrook, if he's going to be in the NBA at all, honestly. So that's what it says. Russell Westbrook may be out of the NBA. And as I heard this news, the first group of people, the first set of individuals I thought about were Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless, and LeBron James. Let's go back in history. Before Russell Westbrook joined the LA Lakers, I think in the 2021 season or something like that. I don't remember the season specifically. It's not really important. Prior to him joining the Lakers, he had averaged a triple-double with the Washington Wizards, the lowly Washington Wizards. And he was able to get them into the play-in tournament. Reports were the Wizards were absolutely devastated that Russell Westbrook decided to leave. And what team did he decide to leave for? Well, he decided to come back home and play for his childhood favorite team, the Los Angeles Lakers. Why is that? Well, because he was recruited by two individuals in particular. One of them was Anthony Davis, and the other was LeBron James. because they thought that they were going to win a title. And then what happened? You had odd makers out there saying that the Lakers had the second best chance to win the NBA title, right? Second best, and the best odds to come out of the Western Conference. Now, some of us out here were like, well, how's this going to work? Because if you know anything about how Russell Westbrook plays ball, and you know anything about how LeBron James plays ball, they both need the ball in their hand, but certainly Russell Westbrook. And they kind of have redundant skill sets. And some of us were speculating that it wasn't going to work. But the NBA set it up in a way where I think their first 17 games that they played, 17 out of 20 games were at home. And after 20 games, the Lakers had a record of 10-10. 10-10. Now, they went 0-5 in the preseason, but I generally don't make a big deal out of what happens in the preseason. It was after the 20 games that we saw that the Lakers were a 500 team. And once we began to realize that they weren't going to be any good and that they would only go on to win 23 games the rest of the way, the focus shifted and the Vipers came out. Skip Bayless, who had always had a vendetta against Russell Westbrook going back to Oklahoma City, he made it his business, and I mean it, to trash Russell Westbrook, which seemed like every single day of the week. They would put in low light reels of Russell Westbrook daily. The next person that would jump on board was Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe would join Skip Bayless to absolutely destroy Russell Westbrook on a daily basis. Do you know why? Because Shannon became annoyed with Russell Westbrook because he needed somebody to blame because Russ was now viewed as the person that was holding his favorite player back, LeBron James. So he was criticizing Russ as a person that he could take out his frustration on because he wasn't going to criticize LeBron James, even though he was part of the team and he's the one that wanted that move. He then pointed his attention to Russell Westbrook. Then came LeBron. LeBron James, who talks about everything. If you see two pigeons fighting on a subway, on the 2 train in the Bronx, LeBron James is going to tweet about it. And LeBron at no point in time said, hey, man, you guys are piling on Russ, man. You got we are not performing as a team together. I think it's unfair that you guys are singling out Russ. LeBron did no such thing. LeBron just stayed quiet and he went about his business to stat pad because that was all that was left. We're not going to win anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stat pad so that in the end of the season, when people try to dissect what actually took place, they can look at my numbers and say, well, LeBron had good numbers, so what do you expect him to do? Right? He has good numbers. What do you expect me to do? Which is what Ty Lue revealed in a heated discussion in a huddle, in a timeout in the finals, where he's like, LeBron, you got to do more. He's like, well, look at my stats. He's like, you got to do more. He was even telling the coach then, look at my stats. And Westbrook ended up being the odd man out. I want you guys to think about this. Before Russell Westbrook joined LeBron James, he was a max level player. Let me repeat that once more. Before he decided to team up with LeBron, Russell Westbrook was a max NBA player. His last year as a Laker, he got paid $40 million. By the time he was done playing with LeBron James, he was a mid-level exception guy. That is how much of a hit his legacy took playing with LeBron James. That is how much of a hit it took. It was that devastating. The guy could never garner a match. The guy that came averaging a triple-double, by the time he was done playing with this guy, and the reports that were being put out by people like Dave McMenamin, this guy is a locker room vampire. That's what they call a locker room vampire. So when Russ ultimately got, I think, traded to Utah and got waived and got signed by the Clippers, I was waiting for the reports for where they said that Russell Westbrook was going to be a vampire. And what ended up happening was all of the Clippers were raving about Russell Westbrook, how they love his leadership, how they love his energy. They all love to have him there. Then then Nikola Jokic himself requested to have Russell Westbrook become a Denver Nugget. Well, I thought he was a vampire. I thought he was a blood-sucking vampire. Are you going to invite a vampire into your house? Are you even joking? And all of this stems back to his time playing with LeBron James and the impact that LeBron, Skip Bayless, and Shannon Sharp had on this guy's legacy. These are the facts. That was the turning point. Russ went from a guy that could average a triple-double to now all of a sudden he can't play. Same thing with Luka Doncic. Luka was viewed as a top 3 player in the world. The minute he gets to LeBron, does Luka know how to do anything anymore? What about LeBron showing Luka the ropes? How can you going to show him the ropes when he was in the finals? You better take those ropes and throw it in the damn lake. I don't want those ropes. Throw them in the lake. They dirty. How you going to show me the ropes? I'm in the finals. You get bounced out the first round, but you want to show me the ropes. That's what they try to do. They elevate him, and then everybody else gets diminished. And then whenever you play on his team, there must be a scapegoat. Last year, it was Luka's belly. That was a scapegoat. Luka has a pouch. Luka has a pouch. So this year, if they don't do well, it's Luka's elbows. Did you notice some fat on his neck? That's what they do. Just a damn shame. A damn shame. But LeBron getting his karma too. They kicking him out the door too. There are a lot of people that love the current NBA, but there are a lot of people that don't like it. A lot of people don't like the disposition of players towards the sport and its fans. They treat it as a business. You get a sense that they don't really care about the fans given the effort that they put forth. I mean, you have to look no further than the All-Star game. And NBA players have come under some serious criticism from various voices, but one of them that made a lot of waves a number of months back was PK Subban, the hockey player. The retired hockey player, when he came on, the first show he started up where he first started, his initial salvo was on Get Up. And then later on that day, I think he made it on ESPN First Take. It was just fireworks. And then he got invited again. And we've done shows covering that. He's a really big Jordan guy. He's a really big Kobe guy. And he's really explained that. And it goes a lot of it goes beyond how they played, but also their disposition to their work and their craft and how they carried themselves. So apparently he did a sit down with Matt Barnes on All the Smoke podcast a number of months ago. I guess I missed this. And during this sit down, they discussed a plethora of things. One of them was NHL star criticizing the NBA, Warriors and Lakers cooking, Luka's revenge game. So I saw a creator, I can't remember his name right now. He was talking about something that PK Subban was saying as it pertains to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. But as he was talking, it was clear to see that the person that he was criticizing was LeBron James. If the shoe fits, wear it. He was absolutely talking about LeBron. And essentially, what PK was saying in the sound is LeBron James shouldn't be respected on the level that Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are because he's selfish. He's only for himself. He's not really for pushing the game forward. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of people were stumped when people like Jamie Foxx and others were like, if you think about everything LeBron has done for, there are people that go out there and it almost seems like a platitude when they throw it out. LeBron has done X, Y, and Z for the game. And then there's some people like, can you explain to me specifically what LeBron has done to move the game forward? And it seems like PK is essentially saying, look, this guy, yes, he is great. There's no doubt about it. He's a Hall of Famer, but he doesn't deserve the same level of respect that Michael Jordan and Kobe have because he only seems to be transfixed on what works and benefits him. So what we want to do is want to play what PK had to say. I want you guys to listen to it in its entirety. I'm going to come back and react to his comments. Take a listen to what he had to say here.
In our sport in hockey, there's a lot of guys who didn't make $1 million a year, that didn't make $8 million, $9 million, that had to go and find jobs after playing. But you want to know something? Those guys played banged up. They played hurt. They played injured. They fought. They gave everything they had to give. And that has allowed me to make the money that I made in the National Hockey League. That has allowed me to have a decent job after my career's over because now we have a TV deal. So what I'm saying is you cannot forget about, Matt, you know this. You play with superstars. You played against them, right? You see them. that is a small percentage of the sport are the stars.
Yeah.
You know, people forget about the rest of the
Yeah,
league.
right.
Like there's a lot of other guys out there, and we have to think about it. The responsibility of the players is to push the game forward. If you are part of that greatness conversation, that's how I'm evaluating you. Are you moving the needle for the game, or are you just moving it for you? Because if you're moving it for you, we'll celebrate you as a great player. We'll say, hey, you're a great player, awesome, you know, one of the all-time. But to put you in that category of a Michael Jordan, a Kobe Bryant, in my opinion, because I followed those guys. I didn't follow them just because of their rings. I followed them because of their mentality, their approach to the game.
Yeah.
That is, I celebrate that more than anything in sports. I don't care. I will take a guy that empties the tank on the ice and loses on a bad bounce or bad. I will celebrate him as a champion because that's what I want guys to follow. That is what sports is all about. There's got to be a winner and there's got to be a loser. It's not always the best team that wins. It's not always the best player that ends up hoisting the trophy. But ultimately, what I have to take from you is when I watch you for 82 games, do you give everything you have? Do you show up every night? Do you do right by your teammates? Do you do right by the game? Because ultimately, that is the best part of your legacy. That is what people will remember about you more than your championships and your rings.
No, I agree. And
right?
Excellent. So you heard what his comments were. Look, I think a lot of this is, you can't dispute this, right? You can't dispute this. And one of the biggest examples of this, again, is to go back to the All-Star game. I asked myself this question: how is it possible that these guys are putting forth such an abysmal effort? Meanwhile, LeBron James, who's still the face of the NBA, is on the court. How is this possible? Because if we go back, if we date back to Kobe, I remember Kobe Bryant literally saying that we made it our business to embarrass the Eastern Conference. We would play with y'all for the first half, but in that second half and that fourth quarter, things tighten up. And Kobe would say that he would talk to Chris Paul at halftime and say, okay, let's go out there and get these MFers, because Chris Paul has a reputation for being notoriously competitive. Notoriously competitive. If you want to see how competitive Chris Paul is, watch games of Chris Paul playing against Kobe Bryant himself. He is a nasty competitor. So when Kobe was playing, there was this energy of competitiveness on the floor. And to be quite honest with you, it wasn't just Kobe. If you go back to his era, you look at guys like Kevin Garnett and others, it was just a different thing. So when you now have LeBron as the elder statesman, how is it possible that these guys are putting forth some of the most disgraceful basketball to the point where then Denver coach Mike Malone said this was the worst basketball game ever played, ever, like he has ever seen. He said this about a game in which professional NBA players laced up. He said it was the worst basketball game he has ever seen. So when PK, someone sitting back and as an observer and is juxtaposing LeBron James, so Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, he looks at it and says, look, how is it possible that this guy is not able to raise the effort level from his contemporaries when he's supposed to be the leader? That's what he's saying. He's talking about the disposition of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. They were competitors. They were absolute. There's kind of like this talk going around that LeBron would have been able to play against the bad boy. Are you even joking? LeBron James would have been able to. LeBron James, that if they act like they touch LeBron, he's flailing on the floor, hollering, screaming, playing peekaboo with his hands on the floor. LeBron James, the ultimate flopper, who's always holding his face when they didn't even. He's going to be able to play in an era where they're actually hitting you? Are you even joking? The guy's always hollering and screaming when they don't even hit him now. There's no question about it. This is the cupcake era. You can't even touch these people. Do you know who said that? Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was talking to Floyd Mayweather after an event or something. And Kobe was talking to Floyd and said, man, the game is different, man. He said, you can't even touch these MFers. That's what Kobe said. You're not allowed to even touch them. So LeBron is going to play against a team like that. We're not talking about his physical abilities. No. We're talking about how he behaves. The guy is 6'8", And if a feather drops on him, he's on the floor. But he's supposed to be handling dudes, smacking him out of the air? Are you even joking? And they're not going to call anything beyond a common foul? Man, y'all better knock it off, man. Y'all better just knock it all the way off, man. Y'all need to knock it off, man. So you heard what PK said, and look, I 100% concur with him. You know, and as time has gone on, and I've come across some of these LeBron fans, you got to be a certain kind of person to be a LeBron fan. And I don't see myself rocking out with that kind of person. I just don't. You know, you just got to be a certain kind of guy to like the antics and everything that it comes with it. I just can't.